The silence. Across the stars. The galaxy was never quiet. Every day, signals, voices, and songs from Earth filled the void of space. For centuries, alien ships crossing the stars could always hear the hum of human transmissions. Old music, news, reports, coded military chatter, it all poured into the cosmic dark, reminding everyone that Earth was alive, awake, and dangerous. But then, one day, it stopped. The songs ended, the voices faded, and the transmissions vanished. Across 100 star systems, stations listening to Earth's frequencies found only static. At first, they thought it was a mistake, maybe a broken relay or a solar storm. But when the silence stretched into hours, then days, fear began to spread. To many aliens, humanity was not just another species. Humans were known as the Deathworlders, the stubborn survivors who turned a toxic planet into a home. They were feared, respected, and sometimes hated. But no one ever thought Earth could go silent. And when it did, every civilization in the galaxy began to whisper, what could silence Earth? In the chambers of the Galactic Council, leaders gathered in panic. Some dismissed it as human arrogance, claiming Earth simply chose not to speak. But others remembered old stories, warnings of predators that even humans feared. They remembered that whenever Earth grew quiet in history, it was never a sign of peace. It was a sign of war. A Zothian ambassador slammed his claws on the table. Do you not understand? He shouted. If Earth is gone, if they have fallen, then extinction walks toward us all. Many scoffed, but his words carried weight. For centuries, the galaxy had relied on Earth's fleets to keep order. Humans never admitted it, but their ships often appeared in the shadows, driving away pirates, hunters, and darker things from the outer rim. Now, with Earth silent, no one knew who would stand against the old threats that waited in the dark. On the trade world of Calrix, a young alien technician listened to the silence. With trembling hands, she had spent her life listening to human broadcasts, learning their strange languages and music. She had laughed at their humor, cried at their tragedies, and admired their endless defiance. Now, with the silence pressing in, she felt only dread. Her mentor whispered beside her, Child, if humans are gone, then so is hope. Far away, at the edge of the Orion Arm, a patrol ship picked up fragments of something drifting near Earth. Shattered satellites, twisted debris, burned metal floating lifelessly. At first they thought it was human wreckage, but closer scans revealed symbols and alloys unknown to any archive. These were not human ships. They belonged to someone else, someone older, someone forgotten. The crew sent their report to the council, their voices shaking. Warships destroyed near Earth, but they are not human-made. The message cut through, the chambers like a blade. If humans had fought and gone silent, what enemy was strong enough to do this? Some celebrated the possibility. Rival empires raised toasts, believing humanity had finally destroyed itself. But their smiles were thin and nervous, for deep inside they wondered, if something could kill Earth, what chance did they have? The silence stretched further. No colony ships answered, no traders left Sol system, no fleet movements could be tracked. The galaxy held its breath, waiting. It was as if Earth itself had vanished into shadow. And then, a faint echo came. Not a message, not a voice, but a fragment of a distress call. The words were broken, distorted, carried on dying frequencies. They are here. Earth, falling. The signal ended in static. No one knew who had sent it, but the meaning was clear. Something terrible had reached Earth, and humans had met it in silence. In the council chamber, a pale-skinned envoy of the Sarathi leaned forward. Her voice was low, trembling. If Earth has fallen, then extinction is near, not just for them, but for us all. The silence was no longer just Earth's. It had spread into every alien heart, filling them with fear. And in that silence, across countless stars, the galaxy realized something dreadful. If Earth could be silenced, then no one was safe. The Council in fear. The Galactic Council had never been so restless. Every seat in the chamber was filled, every voice sharp with fear and anger. The silence of Earth was no longer just a mystery. It was a threat. If humans, the Deathworlders, had fallen, then the galaxy stood naked before whatever had silenced them. The Great Hall buzzed with arguments. The Zilorian delegates shouted that humanity had finally destroyed itself. They called humans reckless, violent, and doomed by their own weapons. The Kraith, long enemies of humans, clapped their wings in delight, declaring the galaxy was safer without Earth's shadow. But others trembled, whispering old tales of ancient hunters that once roamed the void, tales that humanity alone had dared to face. The Zothian ambassador rose again, his scales rippling with unease. "You fools," he growled. "You cheer for silence, but do you not see? Earth was your shield, a shield made of fire and steel, and now it is gone." His words echoed through the chamber, silencing even the loudest voices. The Council, for all its power, had always relied on human intervention. Whenever the old enemies tested the borders, human fleets appeared first. Whenever colonies were threatened, human soldiers were already there. And now, without them, the stars felt colder. Reports began to pour in from scouts across the rim, fragments of burned hulls drifting in void, ships of unknown origin, symbols carved into their sides like warnings from an ancient age. They were not human designs, the scouts spoke in shaking voices. These vessels, they belong to something older than our archives. The word spread like fire, older than archives, older than records, older than even the council itself. In the chamber, fear grew heavier. An Arkan diplomat with shimmering tendrils hissed, "If these predators return, what chance do we have without Earth?" No one answered, for they all knew the truth. For all their arrogance, for all their quarrels, every species had feared humanity because humans did not bow. They adapted, they resisted, they endured. If humanity was silent, then the galaxy might not endure at all, yet not everyone was afraid. Some sought advantage in the silence. The Drath Syndicate smirked, whispering of seizing human colonies left unprotected. Pirates spoke of raiding the Sol system, hoping to plunder whatever was left. But their bravado cracked when the first images arrived. The patrol ship that had investigated Sol sent blurry transmissions, not of human wreckage but of monstrous shadows drifting beyond Earth's orbit, massive hulls scarred with ancient marks, weapons unlike anything known, ships so large they blotted out stars. Even damaged, they inspired terror, and among them drifted human vessels too, scorched but still intact. The image of Earth's silent guardians floating beside alien predators froze the chamber in dread. The council argued for hours. Some demanded immediate defense, others suggested abandoning the rim and retreating to the core worlds. A few, desperate, even called for surrender to whatever power had risen. But then the Sarathi envoy spoke, her pale eyes glowing faintly. "We forget one thing," she said slowly. "Humans are not so easily erased. Silence does not mean death. Silence may mean preparation." The words unsettled many. The idea that humanity was hiding, waiting, sharpening its claws in the shadows. The galaxy had seen humans fight before, but never like this. Never with silence as their weapon. Beyond the council chamber, alien civilians trembled. On market worlds, families huddled together, afraid of the dark between stars. Children asked their parents, "Where are the humans? Will they come back?" No answer could bring comfort. Merchants who once traded eagerly with Earth now avoided even speaking its name. The silence was like a ghost, haunting every system. And yet, in hidden corners, whispers spread, rumors of human colonies still alive, rumors of fleets gathering in secret, rumors that Earth had not fallen but had gone quiet by choice. Some said they were building something. Others said they were hunting, but no one knew the truth. At the close of the council meeting, a message arrived. A scout ship from the far edge of Sol transmitted its final report. The voice was broken, filled with static, but the words were clear enough. "We saw them, the human warships. They did not answer, they did not hail. But they moved, and they moved with purpose." Gasps filled the chamber. The silence deepened, heavier than before. The council members looked at one another, their fear growing sharper. Earth may have fallen, but its fleets had not, and the Galaxy realized with a shiver. If the humans were silent, it was not because they were gone, it was because they were coming. The shadows that came. The reports from the outer rim grew darker each day. Scouts vanished without warning. Patrols returned shattered, whispering of vast shapes that drifted between the stars. The council tried to calm the people, but fear was stronger than words. Something was moving across the galaxy, something older than the council, older even than Earth. On the mining moon of Vela, the night sky rippled as shadows slid across the stars. Workers stopped in silence, staring upward as black vessels blotted out the light. No message, no sound, only silent giants drifting above. Hours later, Vela was gone, its surface glassed. Its people erased, no one knew why, no one understood. Only the silence remained. The galaxy began to remember old legends, stories buried in dusty archives, tales told by wandering priests of species long dead. The predators had no name that survived, only warnings. They had come once before when the galaxy was young. They devoured, they conquered, and then they vanished. Some whispered that humans had been the first to defy them, long before the council ever formed. Now, with Earth silent, the shadows had returned. Across distant colonies, panic rose. The weak begged for protection, the strong prepared their fleets, but none could forget what they had seen in the broken transmissions. Burned alien warships near Earth, monstrous hulls scarred with age, and human vessels drifting among them. If the shadows had destroyed Earth, then what chance did the rest of them have? In the human colonies beyond Sol, silence took a different shape. Families huddled in underground shelters. Soldiers patrolled the streets, their eyes cold and sharp. The children asked where Earth had gone, why the music had stopped. The commanders gave no answers, only orders, for they knew the truth that others only feared. Earth had not been defeated, Earth had been attacked, and humans did not forget, nor forgive. In a bunker on the colony world of Arvin's Reach, a human commander stood before his troops. The soldiers were scarred, their armor dented, their rifles worn, but their eyes burned with the same fire as their ancestors. He spoke in a low voice, steady as stone. Earth may be silent, but humanity is not gone. We are the fire that waits in ash, and when the time comes, we will burn brighter than ever. The soldiers roared in answer, the sound carrying through the dark halls like thunder. Meanwhile, the council grew desperate. They sent envoys to the colonies begging for answers, but every human settlement remained silent. No transmissions, no replies, only watchful eyes behind fortified walls. It was as if the humans were waiting for something only they understood. One counselor broke down during a meeting, slamming his hands against the desk. "What if the silence is not defeat?" he cried. "What if it is strategy? What if Earth has chosen to hide, to lure the shadows out, and we are the bait?" The chamber fell into chaos. Some laughed in denial, others trembled in fear. For if humans were silent by choice, it meant the galaxy was already part of their plan. At the far edge of the Perseid sector, a listening post caught a fragment of human speech, not a distress call, not a plea, but a voice of iron. "Hold the line. No retreat. Extinction protocol engaged." The signal was cut off in seconds, but it was enough. The humans were still fighting, still alive, and their silence was not surrender. It was war. Across alien worlds, citizens whispered. In the dark, some prayed that the humans would rise again to defend them. Others prayed never to see humans fight in silence, for they feared what such fury would unleash. But all agreed on one truth. The shadows had come, and without humans, the galaxy was doomed. On the barren world of Kar, a survivor from a destroyed outpost stumbled into a refugee camp. His body burned, his mind half gone, but his words were clear. "They do not speak, they do not warn, they only consume," he whispered. "And when we ran, it was not us, they chased. It was the humans. Always the humans." The crowd fell into silence, the fear in their hearts growing sharper. If the shadows sought only humanity, then why? What had Earth done to earn such endless hatred? In the silence that followed, one truth became clear across the stars. The shadows had come again, and Earth's silence was not weakness. It was the opening move of a war the galaxy was too afraid to fight, the return of the Deadworld fleet. The galaxy had waited for weeks in fear. Whispers of ancient predators spread faster than light. Worlds fortified their defenses, but their leaders knew walls meant nothing against shadows that erased. Planets all eyes turned again and again to Sol system, hoping, dreading, searching for a sign. And then, one night, the void rippled. From the broken silence, ships emerged, not alien, not predator, but human. The fleets of Earth returned, not with fanfare, not with music, but with cold, heavy silence. They drifted like ghosts, their black hulls scarred with fire, their weapons glowing faintly. Some were broken, patched with strange metal. Others bore marks that no living archive could translate. Yet they moved with terrifying purpose. Alien observers gasped as the first fleet formation slid into the stars. The Deathworld fleet, whispered the frightened. Long ago, humans had called their ships guardians, protectors, but others had given them another name, Deathworld fleet. Vessels, born from a planet that killed its own children just to test their strength, and now they had returned. No voice came from the ships, no greetings, no messages, only a single repeating code pulsed into the void. Extinction protocol. The words struck harder than weapons. The council froze, trembling, for they did not know if those words were meant for the predators, or for everyone. Alien citizens filled viewing halls, watching the images as the fleet passed. Humans had always been loud, always broadcasting their will, their anger, their defiance, but now they were silent, moving like wolves through shadow. The silence was worse than war cries. It made every race wonder what rage burned inside those ships. On the colony world of Jural, a young alien turned to his father. "What are they doing?" the child asked, eyes wide. The father swallowed hard, watching the human fleet blot out the stars. "They are not coming to defend," he whispered. "They are coming to erase." The council held an emergency meeting. Panic filled the chamber. The Kraith screeched that humanity was out of control. The Zalorians demanded the council attack before humans decided all aliens were enemies. But others, wiser, older, shook their heads. No fleet in the galaxy could match what they were seeing. The humans had returned from silence not as allies, not as victims, but as executioners. At the edge of the chamber, the Sarathi envoy whispered, "This is not the voice of survival. This is the voice of vengeance." Her words chilled even her enemies. For deep inside, every race knew she was right. Humans had not returned to beg for help. They had returned to bring fire. Meanwhile, on hidden human colonies, civilians watched the fleet pass overhead. Mothers clutched their children, fathers whispered prayers. For them, the silence of Earth had been agony, but the return of the fleet was worse. It meant the war was not over. It was only beginning, and humanity had chosen to fight with the kind of fury that no one else dared imagine. Scouts reported the human fleets moving without hesitation. They did not stop at colonies. They did not pause to repair. They went straight into predator territory. Alien spies tried to follow but were cut down in seconds. One final message came from a fleeing ship. "They do not answer. They do not explain. They only destroy." Stars burned as the human fleet advanced. Whole systems fell into silence behind them. The galaxy had wanted humans back, but now they feared what they had wished for, because the Deathworld fleet was not fighting to survive. They were fighting to end. A counselor whispered into the tense silence. "If humans win, we are safe from predators, but if humans win, who will save us from them?" Fire across the void. The first battle came without warning. At the edge of the Perseid sector, where stars burned dim and cold, the shadows arrived, their massive ships cut through the void, silent and merciless, and waiting for them, cloaked. In darkness was the human fleet. No warnings, no diplomacy, no cries for peace. The humans struck first, their ships igniting the void with fire. Railguns screamed, beams split the night, and torpedoes tore through alien hulls. The predators had erased worlds before, but never had they faced such fury. The galaxy watched through hidden probes, trembling. Every alien screen lit with the same image. human ships moving like hunters. There was no hesitation, no mercy. They fought as if each shot carried the weight of Earth's silence. Every weapon. Strike felt like vengeance sharpened into steel. A predator dreadnought loomed, its size greater than cities. It fired beams that shattered moons. But a single human battleship, scarred and broken, rammed it head-on. The explosion lit the stars, and in that moment, the galaxy saw what silence meant. Humans were not afraid to die if it meant the enemy died with them. On alien worlds, people gasped and wept. Some cheered for humanity's rage, desperate for a savior. Others turned away in terror, whispering that humans were no different from the predators, because where predators consumed for hunger, humans destroyed for vengeance. The council demanded answers. They sent hails, desperate pleas for humans to explain, to speak, to reassure. But the fleets gave nothing, only silence. One intercepted transmission carried only 3 words. This is retribution. The battles spread system by system. Stars burned with the heat of weapons that should never have been used. Human ships unleashed horrors from their vaults. Planet crackers, black hole torpedoes, weapons once thought myth. The predators staggered, ships torn apart, worlds lost, their silence now broken by screams. And yet the humans did not stop. On the neutral world of Valora, a crowd gathered around a holoscreen. Children clutched their parents as they watched. The void burn, an old scholar whispered. This is not a war, this is an ending. And no one dared to argue. The predators began to retreat, but humanity hunted them. They chased into the dark across old scars of the galaxy. No predator ship was allowed to flee. No base was spared. It was as if humanity was not only fighting to win, but to erase every trace of their enemy, a human. Commander stood aboard his flagship, face lit by fire from the battle below. Earth is silent, he said coldly. But our silence speaks louder than words. They will fear us even when they cannot hear us. His officers nodded, their eyes hard. There was no joy, no triumph, only grim duty. Back in the council chamber, despair grew. They had hoped humanity would return as saviors, but the silence told another truth. Humans were not defending. They were punishing. One counselor whispered into the silence. They are not saving us from extinction, they are deciding who deserves to live. Across the galaxy, fire stretched through the void. Human fleets painted the stars with destruction. The predators who had once seemed unstoppable now fell before the storm, but with every victory, fear spread further. For the question was no longer whether humans could defeat the shadows, the question was, what would they do after? The extinction protocol. The galaxy thought it had already seen the worst of humanity. They had seen human fleets ram dreadnoughts, seen torpedoes crack moons, seen predator warships vanish in fire. But the silence of Earth still held something. Deeper, something the galaxy had prayed would never come. The words whispered across every channel now carried a single name. Extinction Protocol. The first sign came when a human fleet deployed strange weapons into orbit around a predator world. At first aliens thought they were bombs, but they did not explode, they unfolded. Vast machines that drank the light of the sun. Within hours, the world's star dimmed, its warmth stolen. The predators screamed as their home froze in silence, and humanity gave no answer. Across another system, a predator stronghold stood hidden. Behind asteroid belts, human ships entered, silent, patient. Then they released a weapon that bent space itself. A black sphere formed, pulling asteroids, ships, even light into its crushing heart. When it was over, nothing remained, only darkness. The council watched the recordings in horror. These were not weapons of survival. These were tools of erasure. Whispers spread among alien citizens. Some begged the council to act, others begged them to stay silent. For who could stand against humans now? The predators were not only dying, they were vanishing from existence. It was as if humanity was rewriting the galaxy itself. On the human flagship, the commander stood at the center of the bridge. His face was calm, his voice cold. Earth is silent because we have no words left, only action. Extinction protocol ensures no threat will ever rise again. The officers obeyed without hesitation. They had lost Earth, but in that silence, they had found their purpose. The council tried again to make contact. Messages of peace, of alliance, of desperate pleas filled the void, but the humans never answered. Instead, they broadcast only fragments of warnings. Do not interfere. Do not follow. Do not resist. The silence that followed was more terrifying than any threat. On neutral worlds, alien children asked questions their parents could not answer. Will the humans stop? Will they turn on us? Next. Parents held their children close, whispering empty comforts, but in their hearts they wondered the same thing. If humanity could erase predators so easily, then what stopped them from erasing everyone else? Meanwhile, reports told of predator fleets vanishing before they even reached the battle. Human agents had infiltrated deep, sabotaging reactors, poisoning atmospheres, triggering collapses before wars could even begin. Humanity was not just fighting in open battles. They were cleansing the stars. Predators who had once feasted on weaker races now begged for mercy. But the silence gave no answer, only fire. One counselor, trembling, asked the question out loud. What if the silence means they are no longer human? The chamber fell still, because humanity had always been defined by its noise, its stubborn songs, its endless voices. But now, the silence felt like something alien, something beyond what they had known. On a hidden station, a lone alien priest whispered into the dark. Perhaps this is not humanity's end, but their ascension. The silence is not death, it is transformation. And his words spread like wildfire. Were the humans becoming something else, something greater, or something far worse? The predators dwindled to almost nothing. Their homeworlds cracked, their fleets erased, but the human fleets kept moving. Their silence never lifted. Their weapons never rested. Extinction protocol had begun, and no one knew when or if it would end. At last, one broken predator ship sent a final message into the void. We surrender, we beg you, we yield. For the first time in weeks, humanity answered. One voice, cold and empty, echoed through every channel. There will be no surrender. The words spread terror through the galaxy. If humans refused surrender, then there was only one path left: destruction. The galaxy realized the truth it had feared since the day Earth went silent. The humans were not only erasing their enemies, they were erasing extinction itself, and in doing so, they might erase everything. The voice of Earth. For weeks the galaxy had lived in fire and silence. Predator fleets vanished, their worlds shattered, their names erased. The council trembled, unsure whether to celebrate or mourn, because though the predators were gone, humanity's silence was worse. It was a silence that felt endless, merciless, unstoppable. Alien citizens begged their leaders for answers. Will the humans stop? Will they come for us next? But there were no answers, only the sight of human warships drifting like shadows across the void. Every alien species waited, hoping, dreading, praying that someone, anyone, would speak from Earth. And then it came. A single signal, carried across the galaxy, stronger than any transmission before. Not static, not code, but a voice. It was deep, human, steady, and it filled every chamber, every home, every ship. Earth was never silent, the voice said, calm as stone. We were listening. The council froze, their eyes wide, their bodies stiff. The voice continued. The predators returned, as we knew they would. Their hunger is endless, their cruelty without end. Earth fell silent, not because we were weak, but because we chose to hear what others would not, to see what others refused. The words echoed like thunder through the stars. Images filled the channels, not only of predator fleets burning, but of human scouts tracing the shadows long before. The first attack, Earth had gone silent to watch. To draw the predators out, every human fleet had been hidden, waiting for the right moment to strike. It had all been part of a plan no other species could have made. The voice grew colder. We do not fight for survival. We fight for memory, for vengeance, for the billions the predators devoured. Before you even learn to walk among the stars, The council members trembled. Some bowed their heads in shame. Others clenched their fists in anger, because deep down they all knew the humans were right. Yet the silence after the message was heavier than before. The humans had spoken, but they had not promised peace. They had not sworn to stop. They had only revealed their truth. On a small colony world, an alien child looked up at the stars. "Mother, does this mean the humans will protect us again?" The mother did not answer, her eyes wet with fear, because she did not know if protection was what humanity offered anymore. Maybe they offered only judgment. The voice returned one final time. "The predators are gone, their extinction complete. But remember this, the silence of Earth is never weakness. When we fall silent again, it will not mean we are gone. It will mean we are waiting, listening, preparing, and when we rise, we will decide who remains." The transmission ended. Across the galaxy, every race sat in silence, their hearts heavy, their minds filled with dread. For centuries they had looked to Earth as protector, sometimes as rival, often as threat. Now they saw Earth for what it truly was, a force of fear, a storm waiting in silence. The predators were extinct, but the galaxy did not feel safe. It felt colder, darker, more fragile. Because if Earth could erase predators so easily, what would stop them from erasing anyone else? On the bridge of a human flagship, the commander closed his eyes. His ship drifted in silence, scarred but unbroken. Earth had spoken once, but now it was quiet again. The silence stretched across the stars, heavier than before, and the galaxy whispered in fear, "If Earth falls silent again, it will be the end of us all."